Hi, this is Mr. Max with Sankofa Mathematics. So I'm looking at the paper 1 that was written on the 24th of October. This one was written in 2022. So this one was written by the grade 11th of 2022. All right, so this is paper 1. Take note of the instructions. Obviously, once you are told that you will need additional material like geometrical instruments, it means that you must have your instruments with you, obviously a non-programmable calculator, and also take note of your rounding. First of all, we answer all questions, and I'm very interested in this bullet point here. It says if the degree of accuracy is not specified in the question, and if the answer is not exact, then give the answer to 3 significant figures. Give answers for angle sizes to 1 decimal place. And then also you will have the pi value of your calculator that you can use, or you can use 3.142. Okay, so let's get to it. The first question here, let's straight up calculator work. You grab your calculator and it says you must take the square root of 56.25 and you add the cube root. Now make sure that whatever model or of calculator you're using, that you know what the cube root button is. Some of them you have to press shift or second function, so that is 2.515456. You hit equal to, you get 443 over 50. I'm going to write that down here. This is also an acceptable answer, or a decimal answer, 8.86. Okay, or you can also write that as a mixed number, 8.86. So if you want to use mixed number, shift fraction button again, 8 and 43/50. All right, so this is also 8 and 43/50. Well, I guess that's 1 mark for doing that. Write down in figures 265,900. Okay, so again, it's 265,900. We are seeing a lot of decimal points being used. Please, people, just remember you can use a comma to separate thousands, but otherwise everything should be fine. Good. This is also another contentious one, although it looks easy. So first of all, you work it out. So anything that you square, by the way, in brackets, is going to give you a positive answer. Okay? And this number is 5.76. All right. This is not the answer we are looking for. We're looking for the integer. That's a whole number. All right? A positive whole number or negative whole number that is closer to. So suppose, let's say, our 5 is here and our 6 is here. And obviously this number here, 5.76, is going to be around here somewhere. So it is closer to which integer value? And it's closer to the 6, as you can see there. Question 4, you have a bunch of numbers in the oval, and you are supposed to write down a multiple of 6. Well, it's very straightforward. 48 is a multiple of 6. The square number here is 49, because 49 is 7 times 7, so that's the square number. And the prime number, well, there's only 19 here, which is a prime number. So 19 is the only prime number there. Then question 5, you're supposed to write down 2.795 to 1 decimal place. So the answer is 2.8. Remember, your answer should be to 1 decimal place only. Okay, don't add zeros there. You're not going to get a mark for doing so. Question 6. A concert is attended by 576 men and 720 women. And you're supposed to write down the ratio of men to women. Well, it's 1 mark. Just grab your calculator, put 576 upon 720. Okay, you get a fraction 4 over 5, and as a ratio, it's 4 to 5. Please leave it as a ratio in its simplest form. Simple. The temperature on Monday at noon is 12 o'clock in the day, was 1 degrees. By Tuesday at noon, the temperature had dropped by 4 degrees. So 1 degree take away 4 degrees. So in actual case, on Tuesday at noon, the temperature is -3 below zero. Right, the table shows the electricity meter readings for a household in Vendu for March 2021. Right, the previous and the current, these are the meter readings. Consumption is what the people are using for that month. So maybe you can go ahead and you can calculate the consumption. So obviously the current is going to be more than the previous. So you say 95322 take away 94851. That gives you the consumption. So the consumption is 471. Now, the electricity cost $1.43 per unit. So they use 471. So you go ahead and you say 1.43 times 471. Okay, times 1.43. That gives you an answer of $673.53. So that is what $673.53. Okay, right. There are many answers here, but answers that we see that the candidates are giving us, but essentially that is the correct answer. Question 9, you're supposed to insert one of the symbols to make this statement true, greater than, less than, or equal to, one of them. Well, of course, you can go ahead and say 3 over 11. So you have 3 over 11. Maybe just for you to get an answer as a decimal, you'll realize that that 27 goes on and on. So basically this is 0.2727 and so on and so on. So basically this one here is less than that, as that one is continuing. This is equal to, because the square root of 1 is just 1. So essentially these are the same thing. So when you look at these two questions or these two numbers here, you should think of which number is further away from 0. Okay, the number that is furthest away from 0 is less than. So this negative 2.15 is greater than negative 2.5, since negative 2.15 is greater or closer to 0. Okay, well, you can find this number very easily. If you wish to say 36 upon 63, and then you get a fraction in the simplest form, which is 4 over 7. And that is all that you needed to do in that question there. Question 11, Estelle buys 0.345 kilograms of nuts, and she buys them for $24 million and 84 cents. You're supposed to calculate the cost per 100 kilograms of nuts. Okay, so there are many ways you can do this. Essentially, it means you can actually compare them if you want to. So you can compare the kilograms, in this case 0.345, and you can compare that to the money. So that gives you about that. So we are now looking for 100 kilograms, and you can cross multiply. Essentially what you realize is that you will have to divide 24.84, you should divide it by 0.345, and that gives you an estimate or a correct answer of $7,200 million. Ruth pays 3/8 of her earnings, monthly earnings ex tax, and the tax. So what you can do is you can use equivalent fractions. You can say, okay, 3/8 of her monthly earnings is tax, and she pays 9,450 of the whole total earnings, which we don't know. Okay, so from here you can go ahead and you can say, okay, let me cross multiply in order for me to find what that value is. So it's going to be 8 times 9,450, and to find her total earnings, you will divide this by 3. All right, so many ways you can do that. You can do this one. So 8 times 9,450, whatever that answer, you divide by 3. That's 25,200. And this is the monthly earnings of Ruth. When you do question 13, please be very careful. Read it carefully. Also, a grandmother gave a certain sum of money to be shared between her grandchildren, Maya and Carl. And Carl receives $600. So I'm just going to write the ratio down. So in the order it's given, Carl receives 600, and we don't know how much money Maya received. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and say, okay, 600 divided by 5, that increased by a factor of 120. Okay, so in order for me to know how much Maya received, I will multiply her amount there by 120. All right, so Maya's one is then 480 plus the 600 of Carl. So all in all, it's $1,080 that the grandmother gave to her grandchildren. Question 14, this is something to do with exchange. All right, you are given, or Mr. Simasiku changed 870 euros or dollars into euros. Okay, so this was 870. I'm just going to put it under there, and we want to know how much that is in terms of euros. Okay, so we can go ahead and cross multiply, so to speak, if you want to do that. So what you realize is that you will have 1.18x is equal to 870. Essentially, you will have to divide, okay, when you're given the same currencies, you divide. So in any case, you have 870 divided by 1.18, and that gives you a whopping 737.288, and it continues. Well, so 737. Well, this is to three significant figures, but you can go ahead and you can write the full amount or correct to, let's say, 2881, and so on and so on, and then you give the correct rounding. So this is an example of a question where the answer is not exact. And since it's money, you can leave it to decimal places or three significant figures as per instruction in front of the question paper. Okay. So this question deals with duration. How long did the journey take? Bus leaves Russell's at 9 minutes past 1, arrives in Otapi at 22:37. Well, so you can actually, since both of them are given to you in digital time, you're supposed to subtract, right? So you subtract in order for you to find duration. Okay, so with a calculator, I'm going to say 22 hours, 37 minutes, take away 13 hours and 9 minutes. Okay, so that's 9 hours and 28 minutes. Okay, or essentially you can just subtract 9 minutes from 37. Well, that gives you nothing but 28 here, and if you subtract what you have left there, you're going to get 9 hours 28. So it's either way, whatever method you choose to use, you should get to this answer quite easily. Kane invests $2,000 at 3% per year at simple interest. Calculated total interest. So we are just looking for the interest here. So when we are taking the 2,000 and you multiply that by the time or the rate, and then multiply it by the time, and the time is 6 months, and 6 months is not in it's not a year already. So we're gonna go ahead and do that. All right. So once you grab your calculator, you should realize that, of course, I can make it a bit simpler for myself when I work it out by dividing by 100 here. Okay, so that should be fine. I just definitely go ahead and say, so that's 20 times 3 times 6. That answer I'm going to divide by 12. Whatever you do, you should arrive at $30 Namibian dollars. The length of a rope L is 8.3 centimeters, correct to 1 decimal place. So 1 decimal place, again, we know that 1 decimal place, you're going to have 0.1. When you divide it by 2, you have 0.05, which you're going to add to this number. So this upper bound will be 8.35. And if you subtract this number here, 0.05 from 8.3, you're going to get 8.35. 8.25. Okay, so the lower bound is a number that is smaller. So the length is then between 8.25 and 8.35. In June, the number of people that visited the number of desert was 1,980. That's in June. This number of visitors is 10% than the numbers of visitors in May. Calculate the number of people that visited the number of desert in May. So we are now looking at the previous month. So this is a reverse percentage situation. Okay, so what you can also look at, you can say 110%, because that is what this increase mean, is equivalent to 1,980 over what we don't know what the previous one was. So this 1,980 represents a 10% increase in June that was more than whatever it was in May. So when you look at these equivalent fractions, 110 obviously comes from 100% plus 10%. That's where I get 110%, okay? 110%, which I rewrite like this. Now, what you can see here is that the numerator is greater than the denominator, and we are looking for a value of x that is less than that numerator there, because in May it was essentially lower than that. Okay, so you can cross multiply. You say 110x is equal to, I'm going to say 100 times 1980. Okay, so essentially x will be equal to 110. Can you see the scenario where the reverse percentage always comes in? Okay, so you're looking for a number that is less, so you want to multiply by a proper fraction. So 100 upon 110, multiply that by 1,980, well, you get 1,800, and surely this is a number or a figure that is less than what happened in June. Question 19. This is a question that deals with inverse proportion, because it says it takes 15 women 42 hours to harvest the field of groundnuts. How many women will be required to harvest the same field at the same rate? If the time decreases, you expect the more women to be used. Okay, so when you decrease one variable, the other one increases, and that is exactly a scenario. So what we're looking for here is, since we are decreasing the time, then the women should be more, because you need more women to harvest the field within the same rate. Okay, good. So the way you do this, well, you can have your women versus the time, which is in hours. So 15 women takes them 42 hours, and 35 hours we expect this to be less. All right. So the way we do this is we multiply like this. So you say 15 times 42, and then you simply divide that by x in order for you to find the number of women. In this case, it should be quite more. Divide by 35, and the answer is 18. So 18 women will need more women if we decrease the time. Right, question 20. Well, you have got three sets of numbers, A, B, and C. They are shown on the Venn diagram. Use the Venn diagram to answer the following questions. Now we are looking for the number of elements where B intersect C. Right, so this one is quite straightforward. The intersection of B and C is represented by the numbers 14 and 6 and 9, and they are nothing but three numbers there. Okay, so that is what we are looking for in this particular question. Right, the next one is you're supposed to list A union B complement. So you take the union of A and B. What is not in the union of A and B? So first of all, the union of A and B is represented by all of that. So what is not in that union is this 10, this 12, and this 15. They are not in the union of A and B. Okay, so you list them accordingly. So it's going to be 10, 12, and 15. Okay, doesn't matter if you arrange them according to order of size or not. On the Venn diagram, shade B union C complement intersection A. Now this could be quite tricky for many people. Right, so what we can do is let us find the complement of the union of B and C. What is not in B union C? So the things that are not in B and C, all of them that are not there is 5, 7, and 15. So I'm going to write them down here. Okay, this is 5, 7, and 15. And I'm going to write the elements of set A also. Set A is 3, 5, 7, 13, and 14. 3, 5, 7, 13, and 14. So this intersection here, we are now looking at what do they share. What do they share? If you compare, you see that they share 5 and they share 7. Can you see that? According to the way I've listed them. So the answer here is 5 and 7. So where is 5 and 7? Where 5 and 7 is, that is going to be the area or the place or the region that I'm going to shade. So expect your shading to be only where you have the 5 and 7. Okay, right. So whatever method you are using, as long as you realize that this is the particular region or the area that we're looking for. Good. Solve the inequality. Well, this is a straightforward inequality though. So we're going to have 3x. I'm going to add the 2x. And I'm going to 16. I'm going to add the 4. So that's 5x is greater than 20. Since my 5 here is positive, I'm going to simply divide. There's no need to change any inequality signs. 20 divided by 5. So x would be greater than 4. Remember, it's an inequality, so do not use equal signs. Okay, they are not required in this case. Right. Someone else can perhaps also write their answer as 4 is less than x. It is exactly the same thing. Okay, it is the same. All right. Question 22. Two functions f and g are given. Now we have to find the inverse of g. So we're going to say g, right, y equals 7x minus 3. And then we are going to split or swap the letters around, making y the subject of the formula. So that's x plus 3 equals to 7y. Essentially, that is giving us y equals to x plus 3 upon 7. So the inverse of g is going to be x plus 3 upon 7. There's also another way that you can get this answer, but essentially this is 100%. Okay. Now they want you to find fg of x in its simplest form. So you take the whole of g, which is this one here, and you substitute it into where you have an x into and that one there. So you're going to have 19 minus 4, and in brackets I'm going to put my g there, which is represented by 7x minus 3. Well, it's just for me to simplify it now. Okay, so I'm going to multiply out. So definitely I'm going to have 19 minus, now you have the 4 times that is minus 28x. And then you have the 4, that's a positive now, 12. And then you have 19 plus 12, which you must now know is 31. So my final answer will be 31 minus 28x. Or you're going to have the negative 28x in front. It's still the same thing. Okay, question 23. The diagram shows, well, this one, it shows line Q, and then it also shows a curve. First question, write down the coordinates of point A, where the curve meets, or the line meets the curve. Something that I definitely need you to have a look at is if you were to look at the coordinates of y, you must now know on the scale one block represents 0.1, so that's negative 4,1, 2, 3, 4. Actually, if you look at what does one little small square represent, so one small square, there are 10 of them, and you have got 2 multiples of 2. Can you see that? And then you have 10 of them, so each one represents 0.2. So that's going to be negative 4.2, negative 4.4, negative 4.6, negative 4.7, so to speak. So the y value is negative 4.7, and that's the value that everybody should have. Okay, negative 4.7. As for the x value, this one sort of it's a range, and we accept a certain range, okay? Because not all of us are giving the same answer, okay? So once you look at that, you get a x reading there. So once you were to read down that x value, you probably also now realize that one block here just represents 0.1. So that's 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, 0.4, 0.5, 0.6. So can you see that it's 0.65? So 0.65. So again, for that one, we'll be accepting a range here. Okay, 0.65. Find the equation of line Q. Now, I will not suggest that you use these points here, point A, in order for you to find the equation of the line, because your point can be a little bit different, especially your y value could be out of what we expect our y value to be. Let me make sure of one thing you understand this. This y coordinate should be the same for everyone. So if you have a different y value and you use that point, it means the equation will not be accepted. So I'll suggest that we use whole number points, and perhaps you can use this point here. And that point there is 5,4. Okay, and then you can use another whole point here, which is down here. We can use this point here, which is this at the y-intercept. Can you see this point here? So that point is 0, -6. So these 2 points should be quite sufficient in order for us to calculate, if we're to use the formula to calculate the gradient of such line. Again, you can also count if you want to find the gradient. So what you can do, let me first use the 2 points. So going the sort of long way first. So one point is 5,4, and the other point is 0, -6. So if you were to find the gradient, take the 2 exchanges in y, so you say 4 minus -6 with the exchange of that. So you're going to have 10 over 5, so gradient is 2. So the line will be y equals to 2x. And the y-intercept is here, so you will have y equals to 2x minus 6, right? Supposedly, you did not want to calculate the gradient, because that is the catch now. You can use a triangle. You can use this one here, that distance there, which you can see is nothing but 4 units. Can you see that? And if you use this distance here, from 5 to 3, you can see that it's 2 units. And if you have 4 divided by 2, so you get the gradient is going to be 2. And again, the line slopes in that direction, so therefore the gradient is positive. Many ways that you can do that. All right, so I'm just going to clear some of these working that I have here on this diagram, because there's something else that I'm supposed to do. They are saying for part C, by drawing a tangent to the curve at the point 2, -8, which is this point here, you are supposed to write down the gradient at this point. Now, it's not necessary for you to draw the tangent line, but if you were to draw the tangent line there, you would realize that this line is a horizontal line, and a horizontal line has a gradient of 0. Okay, you don't even need to calculate it. Okay, horizontal lines have a gradient of 0. Okay, Right, so question 24, we are supposed to expand, and after expanding, we simplify. So 3n minus 2 should be multiplied by itself. And of course, we can do this one here. That is going to be 3n squared plus 15n. So we can go ahead and we can multiply this binomial here. And I hope you know how to do that. So you're going to have 9n squared minus 6n plus 4 plus 3n squared plus 15n. So collecting like terms, I'll have 12n squared, and then I have got 15 minus 12, that is going to be plus 3n plus 4. Okay, hopefully you understand how I got to this answer. So also, for you to know how this question was marked, it's not an independent mark for each of the terms here. If we could see this 3n squared plus 15n, or if we could see this 9n squared minus 6n plus 4, okay, you get a mark for one of them. Or if we see this whole expression, 9n squared minus 6n plus 4 plus 3n squared plus 15, or anything equivalent to that, you get 2 marks. Obviously, if you then simplify and you give your final answer, you get the correct answer. Right. This is a question that deals with long division or synthetic division. It's totally up to you which method you prefer to use. Well, if you use synthetic division, you'll have to say find the value of m. In this particular case, m is equal to 5. Right. And then you put that 5 over there, and we're going to write all the coefficients down. So once you use this method, it's imperative that you know what the coefficients are and the whole correct method as it is. So I'm going to write those coefficients down. So it's 2, it's negative 1, it's negative 36, and it's positive 32. First things first, we're going to bring this one down. Then we multiply these two here, that gives you 10. And then we add, that gives you 9. Then we multiply again, that gives you 45. And then we add these 2 again, that gives you 9. We multiply that 5 again, that gives us 45. Well, we're going to get 77 once we add this. This 77 is the remainder. So this was a cubic function. So now it's going to be a quadratic. So this is 2m squared plus 9m plus that. So it's 2m squared plus 9m plus 9 with a remainder of 77. Of course, there are many videos that I have done to this effect, and I hope that you know how to solve them. Okay, ordinarily, I'm going to do long division here. So I'm going to have my m minus 5, and I have my 2m cubed minus m squared minus 36m plus 32. All right, so this is where I'm going to do my side work. So 2m cubed, I'm going to divide it by m. So that's going to be 2m squared, and I'm going to multiply. I'm going to get 2m cubed, and I'm going to multiply 2 times that, giving me negative 10m squared. And I'm going to subtract. That is 0. If you subtract negative, this is going to become a positive here, the two of them. So I'm going to get a 9m squared negative. So grab a calculator. If you get stuck here, you say negative 1 minus negative 10. Okay, you realize you get a 9. All right, so we're going to bring that minus 36 down. So go back to my side work. I'm going to divide again that m into that. So that's going to give me plus 9m. Multiply that again, I'm going to get 9m squared, and 9 times that gives me negative 45m. All right, so again, I'm going to subtract. That cancels out, And a negative minus 45, it's a positive 9m. Again, I hope you know that you should get that answer. You can say negative 36 minus negative 45. You see the answer is positive 9m. All right, so again, my side work. Dividing that, I'm going to get plus 9. So, okay, we go back and multiply. So that gives me 9m here. And 9 times that gives me minus 45. All right, so once I do that again, I'm going to get 77 as a remainder. And from here, you can see that my quotient is the number up top, and my remainder is 77. Whatever method you use, just make sure that in your final answer and the spaces provided that you do indicate what the quotient is at the place of the quotient, 2m squared plus 9m plus 9, and that you also indicate the remainder at the place of the remainder, in this case 77 marks. 77. And then you get full marks for doing that. Good. Question 26. So you have to solve the following. So first of all, best is get rid of that 5. So you have got q squared equals to 16. And then you have q equals to positive or negative square root of 16. Or I'm going to have q squared minus 16 equals to 0, because quadratic equations are always equal to 0. This gives you the difference of two squares, if you know what I mean. Okay, so you're going to have minus 4 and q plus 4 equals 0. And you'll realize that q equals to 4 or q equals to negative 4. Hence, we say the value there is positive or negative 4. Right, this particular question, and I want you to pay attention. Please do not multiply this 5 over. Please, you can't do that. Okay, so the first thing you do, the very first thing you do, is you divide throughout by 5. That's the very first thing to do. Now, from this point, you're going to use logs, because you can't solve this, okay, using indices. So you're going to say log 6 to the x equals to log 13. And x log 6 equals to log 13. And the value of x will be log 13. We're going to divide that by log 6. All right. And then we grab our calculator and we see what we get. So we say log 13 divided by log 6. We get 1.43 and so on and so on. So 1.43 correct to 3 significant figures. And that is the answer, and that is how you solve that question. Okay. So please do not multiply that 5 with the 6. That is not correct, and you end up losing marks because you are using wrong methods. So what should stand out for you in this next question is this 125 and this 25 here. They can all be written as bases of 5. The dot means multiplication. That is 5 cubed for 125, and I hope you do know. And this other one here becomes 5 squared for 25. Okay, so 125, if you need to know, it's 5 cubed. Okay, right. Now, from this particular case onwards, I'll go ahead and I'll put this in brackets as well. So I can go ahead and say 5x minus y times 5. Now you must be very careful here that you know that this 3 multiplies with each one of them. So I'm going to have 9x minus 3y. So in this case, they are also being divided by 5 raised to the power of 2x. Once you multiply and the bases are the same, you go ahead and you add the indices on top. So I will have 5 power x minus y. I'm going to add 9x minus 3y. Now I don't need to put brackets here but I'll do that anyway. Okay, right. So if you add on top there, you'd realize that you're going to get um, 5 raised to the power of 10x. That is the x plus 9x. And then you have minus 3y plus minus y plus minus 3y. That gives you minus 4y. All this must be divided by that scenario. Now, if you divide and the bases are the same, you subtract the indices. So in this case, I'm going to do that so you can see that I'm subtracting the like terms of each other. Eventually, the final answer would be 5 raised to the power of 8x minus 4y. And this is what we required as a solution. Anything equivalent to that, but you don't have to do more, okay, once you do this. So step by step, and you have to start off by expressing those as bases of 5. Remember, if I'm too fast for you, you can always pause and rewind the video in order for you to be able to understand this question better. The probability of Bianca passing her first math test is 3/5. Okay, and let's make that first test. Let's say over here, we're gonna have the first test. So we're gonna say the first test. Okay, we're gonna make a tree diagram. So we're gonna have pass here and fail here. So the first test for her to pass is 3/5. So what do you need for her to fail? Well, for her to fail, it will be nothing but 2/5. Because if you add these two fractions, you should get 1. Okay? So 1 minus 3/5, well, you get 2/5. That is why I have this. Right, there's another scenario where we have the second test, because it says there, the probability of Bianca passing her second test is 4/5. So we're going to have another tree here, goes like this. So it's going to be pass, and it's going to be fail. Passing the second test is 4/5. So 4/5 here, and then this one will be 1/5. Okay, I don't have to bring in another sort of tree here again, because I think my information is enough. It says calculate the probability of Bianca passing her first math test. Okay, so passing her first test. The probability of passing her first test is passing her first test and failing her second. Okay, so passing her first test is 3/5 and we multiply. Failing the second, 1/5. Can you see that? 1/5, because here we failed this one here. So it's this one times that one. Okay, so it will be nothing but 3/25. And that is the answer to this question. Right, so you can also give it as a decimal if you want to, or some people go ahead and give it as a percentage, but no need for that. So just give it as a fraction or as a decimal. Please, no ratios. PT is a tangent to the semicircle and center O. What do you know? We know that a radius, this line here, and a tangent, where they meet, they make 90 degrees. Very important that you know that. Okay, this angle here is 90 degrees. What also do we know? We know that this AO and OT, they are radii. So we have now an equal, what is it, a isosceles triangle here. Having looked at that scenario, we can actually see that this angle here should be 28, because the reason is that base angles of isosceles triangles are equal. In this case, angle X will equal to 28 degrees. So I can just go ahead and put my 28 degrees there. Now, another scenario will present itself, and that is we need to find what is angle Y. Now, if you look at the bigger triangle, if you wish to, you look at the bigger triangle, that is A, okay, and don't worry about my drawing. This is 28 degrees over there, that is Y here. This one here, this angle here, it should be 90 degrees plus the 28 degrees. Okay? So that gives you 118. That is this angle all the way over here. So if that is the case, you can also use a different triangle, of course, all right, to find that. If that is the case, I can actually calculate my y here. Y should be the sum of the whole triangle A, P, T. Okay, it should be 180 degrees. Now, if I take away the 28 and the 118, that should give me what angle Y is equal to. So we say 180 degrees minus the sum of 28 plus 118. Okay, that's 34 degrees. So my y is equal to 34 degrees. Yeah, again, as I said, you can play around in a diagram and then you can actually find these 34 degrees using different and various ways. Bottom line is play around and you could also perhaps work out this angle here, which is 118, okay, degrees, and then you find that angle there. Since they're on a straight line, you could say, okay, 180 minus 118, so that gives you 56 plus 62, so that's 62. Then you have a triangle here. Another way you can do this, I'm going to draw it here. So you could have, remember, this is now 62 over there, y over there, and that's 90. And this would be then triangle OTP. And looking at this triangle OTP, you can say that, well, angle sum of a triangle is 90 degree, 180. So if this is 90, these two then should equal to 90. So you can say 90 minus 62. Again, you will get the same answer. Okay, so you can say 90 take away 62. Okay, goodness gracious, let me see if my triangle makes a little bit of sense. All right, this angle here, let's go back and let's just correct our angle there. So that should be 180 minus 28 minus 28. Okay, so that is 124. I'm going to put it in a different color. So this is 124. All right, so this then would not be 62. And if you want to find what that other angle O or TOP is equal to, well, that will be 56 here. So I have the dot. So that will be 56. All right, so my angle Y then will be 90 minus 56. Minus 56. Well, if you punch that in, you get the same answer. So it will be 90, take away 56, 34. Right, many ways that you can do this, as long as you realize that you get to the same answer. So that drawing is for part B. The mean height of 6 learners in a group is 1.8. Okay. Dahafa joined the group, and now the mean height is 1.75. So let's first find the sum of the height of all 6. So you'll be saying 1.8 times 6 and 1.75 times 7. So we find the sum of the height of all of them when they are 6. So I'll be saying 1.8 times 6. Well, that is 10.8. When another person comes, now they are 7. So it's 1.75 times 7. What is the sum of all this? 12.25. So to find the height of Dafa, we say 12.25 meters, take away 10.8 meters. Ooh, that 8 looks rather scary. Okay, so the answer is 1.45 meters respectively. Right, this question here says use a ruler and compasses to construct a bisector of angle BAC. So we're going to have to cut that angle in half. All right, let me use some of the software I have. So this is the angle BAC. So we take our protractor. Maybe we put it over there. And remember, you can open any radius. Okay. You can use the same radius if you want to, or a different radius. Like I have. You see what I did there? And I'll bring my ruler. Good. There you go. So that is the angle bisector. That's how you bisect that particular angle there. Okay. All right. So in any case, you use your protractor and you do not rub this out. Show all your constructions, and then you get full marks. All right. Now, question 32. Two cylinders are mathematically similar. Now, what similarity, and I hope it's a topic that you have done. Also, we need to understand quite a few things. Similar shapes, the corresponding sides are in the same ratio, and you're told that the total surface area of the smaller one, the TSA of the smaller one, the TSA of the smaller one is 240 centimeters squared. So we need to find the total surface area of the bigger one. Okay, so we're first going to work with the ratio of the sides. So we're going to say, okay, 20 over 30, which is actually like 2 over 3. So this is the ratio of corresponding side. Since we're working with area, we need to square this. So we need to say 2 over 3, we need to square this in order for us to compare the areas, 240 over the other one. Okay, that is what you need to do here. If it was volume, we would be cubing it. Okay, right. So this is 4 over 9. Again, it doesn't matter which one you put on top. Could have put a 3 over 2, okay, and get 1.5. As long as you also then put the smaller one under, following that same pattern. So that's 240 over x. So from here, you can actually do your cross multiplication thing in order for you to find the volume, not the volume, but the area of the larger one. Okay, right. So I'm going to grab the calculator here. I'm going to say 9 times 240, and I'm dividing that answer by 4. So the bigger one will therefore have a total surface area of 540 square centimeters. Question 33. The diagram shows a sector of a circle with a center A and a radius of 18 centimeters. Angle BAC is 20 degrees. So first question, calculate the circumference of a circle. Now this question doesn't ask anything about that. The formula to calculate the circumference of a circle is 2 pi r. Okay, or twice the radius is the same as the diameter times that. So we're just going to go ahead and use the first formula. It doesn't matter. So it's going to be 2 times pi times the radius. In this case, the radius is 18. All right, so this is like 36 pi, which is an answer that you can give, or you can go ahead if you want to, and then you can calculate what that answer is by giving your answer maybe 2, 3 significant figures, which is about 113 centimeters. Okay, so anything rounding to 113 centimeters will be acceptable. Now, they are asking you to calculate the area of the sector ABC. Now, remember this sector is part of a circle, okay? It's part of a circle, okay? It's part of a larger circle. Are we clear? Right, so to find the area of a circle, we use the formula pi r square. But since this is a sector, we'll have to use that part of that circle. What part is it? Well, it's 20 degrees out of 360. So the area of the sector is 20 degrees out of 360 times pi times the radius squared. Okay, pi times r squared. Well, you can go ahead and you can clean this up, and you can see, you can leave your answer in terms of pi. So that's 20 upon 360 multiplied by 18 squared. That gives me 18 times pi. So the answer will be 18 pi. Okay, so we can also leave the answer. Please use the correct method here. Okay, otherwise you'll be penalized if not. 56.5, 56.5. All right, depending on what value of pi you are using. Some people are using 3.142. Some people are even using 22/7, which is something that we don't really want. Okay, because the instruction right in the beginning said you can use a calculator value or you can use 3.142. Right, the last question here, a triangle. I'm just going to make it a bit smaller. Has AB 4.5 centimeters, AC 8 centimeters, BC 4 centimeters, A is due south of B, and you calculate angle ABC. So in order for us to calculate the angle, it's this particular angle they are talking about. We need to use the cosine rule. All right. So I don't know if you know that for any, first of all, this is a non-90 degree triangle. So please, there is no Pythagoras story here. Okay. You have to use the cosine rule or the law of cosines in order for you to find that angle. So ultimately, cos theta, or that angle ABC, is going to be 4 squared plus 4.5 squared minus 8 squared upon 2 times 4 times 4.5. Okay, if we grab a calculator and we work it out, you're going to have 4 squared plus 4.5 squared. You're going to get a negative value here. And remember that cosine is negative in, so you're going to get cos, this is negative 37/48. All right, now I'm just going to punch it in like that. So we are looking for the angle, so we say the inverse cos. In this case, I'm going to say negative 37 upon 48. My answer, could have typed that. I'm getting my angle, which is 140.42, and so on. So the angle then is, so the angle ABC is the inverse cos of negative 37/48, which the angle is 140.4 degrees. And since we are supposed to give angles to one decimal place, we say 140.4 degrees, just to make sure. Find the bearing of C from B. The bearing of C from B. So first of all, if this was an offline, like so, okay, what we are now looking for, the bearing of C from B, we're looking for this particular angle here. So you can see it's 180 minus our previous answer. Because it's the angle on a straight line, so we say 180 180 degrees minus 140.4 degrees. Okay, so say minus 180. Okay, I know, so 39.6. So 039.6. Always give it to 3 as a three figure. Okay, remember it's bearings, so we need to put that 0 in front. Okay, in a nutshell, this was paper 1 that was written this year. Again, I'm going to upload paper 2 later in the week. Do stand by for that, so you can prepare for your examinations if you wish to improve, or if you are an aspiring grade 11 learner. Grade 10s can also use this content to prepare themselves for their examinations. Good luck with your studies. Goodbye.